What I like to do now is to show you the method that we use to cut, fold and fit the cover flashing. In this case it's going to be step flashing, which is coming up the stack way along. A lot of people make the mistake of using lead that is not wide enough. It's easier to start with something wider and cut it down than it is to use a bit of 6" and find out it's too small. The first thing we do is measure the length of flashing we need. In this particular case it's under 1.5 metres, therefore we can do it in one piece. About 38, 39 inches. We're going to cut it off this piece of lead and measure through 39 and mark the lead. You only scratch lead or mark it with a sharp implement when it's a cut. If it's a fold, you should be using something like a marker pen or chalk. And there we have our piece of lead which we're going to use for the step flashing. Before we start to put the lead there for marking, I'll just explain to you what we're trying to do. You may look in books and it refers to what we call a water line. You've got your soap that's coming up there, and to find out where your water line is, you measure up and you want it to be probably about 2.5 to 3 inches. In this particular case I just use something that comes to mind. I've got a level here which is about the right size. So what I can do, I'll draw this in just to show you. We can call that the water line. What we're now going to do, put the lead in position. There he is. On the lead, what we're going to do is mark our water line. We already marked that on the brickwork just to show you, so it's exactly the same principle. You sort of mark a pen, perhaps a piece of chalk, but you don't want anything that's going to scratch the lead. You've got your water line. That's going to turn. When we turn, we lose height. So leave yourself plenty on the front. That's why we've started off with wider lead. The next thing is to get a level, check that the bricklaying is about right. I've got no excuses, I've done this. It's not the neatest, but we're not bricklayers. And then get a straight edge of some sort and follow this course through. This is where you need to actually use the level, not just as a lining things up, but to make sure that it's not, you're following that line through the same as the brickwork which is underneath it. I can't see where the course is. But what you can do is take that line across, put yourself a little mark there, level it up, you've got a parallel line there, can't be far away, and mark it through. If you're in any doubt, put it on there, look at this gap at the top, yeah, it's about the same. About the same, so you're not far away. Don't muck about with anything more at this stage here, because when we start bending it round, if you haven't got enough lead, you'll curse it. Now I hope you can see the colours on here. I've marked the folds. At the moment the folds are marked in red, and also the water line is. They're things that we're not going to cut and not going to alter. The piece is going to be cut before it's bent, that's going to go in the joint. Now, to do that, get yourself a piece of batten. There's a piece of 1 inch 25mm batten. You've got the thickness of the pen as well. We're looking for about 30mm in the joint. Put that on, mark it. What we've got there are the cut lines. The next stage is to put the cut lines you're going to use, or is join up the lines between the red one here and the red one there. What I will do now is take it to the bench. There we are, we've got our stuff marked. If you remember rightly, the black ones were cuts and the red ones were folds. Take that off so you don't make any errors. Right, what we're going to do, we can use the knife or we can use some snips. Got a pair of snips here, don't really matter too much. But what we do our cut. No lower than the water line. So there you got your cuts. We're going to do some folding. These are going to be folded inwards. I'll show you a method that might suit you to do that. And we're going to bend these now, ready for them to go into the brickwork, or into the joints I should say. A couple of methods. What I sometimes do if I've got a lot of it to do, get a bit of batten, long piece, screw it on a bench somewhere, nail it to a bench, put a groove in it with your saw. So it looks something like this. Bit of hardwood would be better if you want to keep it, but for what you want, that'll probably do you. And what you do with it, you put it on, get it so it's on there, give it a twist, and then you can turn the lead. You can use seaming pliers, some of you might have them, but I'm trying to do it with things that the average person will have at home. And that is about that. Now we've got very steep angles here. I wanted to do that to accentuate it. You can, if you find them all the same, cut these ones back to whatever suits you. But I just wanted to show you a method so you can adjust it to suit that which you require. What we're going to do now is move across to the chimney and cut some chases out. What we've got here is a grinder with a diamond blade in it. I've got my glasses on because these things can be dangerous. And we're going to just take the joint. Now it's worth mentioning that some of you will have had the bricklayer there and he rake the whole lot out. So instead of having a small cut like this in the mortar, all the mortar's missing. I'll just demonstrate on a couple of joints what that might look like. Now you can see what's happened. I've just been fairly haphazard. I know roughly where I'm going. Once we're completed, we're going to have to point this. So whether you take a little bit extra out, it doesn't really matter too much. You just put a bit of pointing back in. You haven't got to be massively accurate. You'll also notice a couple of times I've just nicked the top of those soakers by a 5mm. It's not the end of the world. Don't worry about it. We've got plenty of cover. Made the steps. We hope they're in the right place. We've done a grinding and now we're going to see if it fits. When you get it about right, just put something easy just to hold it for the moment. Just happens to be a bit of a nail. I'll put that in the joint, that'll hold it, stop it falling out there. You start to see now, you've got your steps. You'll see in a lot of places the step won't be as severe, it'll come down there. But I've just shown you how you achieve these different appearances.